Okay.
Yes, we can see that.
I'm Lily Mace. I'm the owner and founder of Stepping Forward, and along with my wonderful husband who does a lot of the marketing and behind the scenes. And we're just excited to present some information that we know that will, I believe that will be life-saving, because falls are no joke. And that's what we're all about. We're going to talk about some statistics. We're going to talk about, here's the objectives, the conditions that increase falls, and the most important part is the prevention of falls and protecting yourselves, protecting your residents, protecting your clients, your patients, and protecting yourself by using safe and proper body mechanics. So really, really important stuff. When I was going through this, I was realizing some of these statistics are very staggering. And at the end, we'll talk a little bit about some of the other topics that we do as an LLC, Stepping Forward, and provide CEUs, and also give you an opportunity to jump on a couple CEUs that we're going to do in June. So with that said, I just wanted to share with you some of the statistics. So I'm going to kind of go slow so you can take this all in. And also, she called it a quiz, and it is a quiz. It's an assessment of like your learning and what did you learn from this. So we are going to have that at the end. We'll do it together as a group, but pay attention to the little yellow marks, highlighted points. That might give you some extra tips. So 1 in every 4 adults age 65 and older falls. And I can't believe this, less than half tell their doctor. Less than half. So if my mother-in-law fell, she's 91, she's probably not going to tell her doctor, which I hope she would, but most of them don't, and that's unfortunate because you can't get help if they don't know about it. So it's really important, and especially as managers and administrators, we have to record these falls as incident reports so that we can prevent things, and so we want to make sure that we have a safe environment and a safe home for people. Falling once doubles the chance of falling again. So if somebody has fallen, they're probably going to fall again. And unfortunately, sometimes it happens multiple times. But I believe that falls can be prevented, most falls. And so that's what we're going to focus on. 3 million older people are treated in the ER for fall injuries. It's probably a bit higher since the statistics are from the CDC. They're a few years back. Falls are the most common cause of TBIs, traumatic brain injuries. So I thought about that, and I thought, you know, these falls can cause death. They can cause people to not only have a TBI, but they can cause them their life, because most of these falls happen in seniors and older people. In 2015, the total medical costs of falls were $50 billion. That's 2015. That's 7 years ago. It's probably a bit higher from that point. And Medicare and Medicaid pay about 75% of the cost. So it's costing a lot of money. It's costing a lot of unfortunate quality of life, and even family members, costing them a lot. A couple more statistics. The fall death rates in the US increased 30%, probably a bit higher, from 2007 to 2016 for older adults. So it's going up, not going down. If rates continue to rise, we can anticipate 7 fall deaths every hour by 2030. I just want to say that again. We can anticipate 7 fall deaths every hour by 2030. Now I think about the loved ones of, missing their mother, their father, their siblings because of a fall that could have been prevented. So each year, at least 300,000 older people are hospitalized for hip fractures, not to mention some of these other ailments that happen. That falls can cause broken bones, like wrist, arm, ankle, and hip fractures, and can even lead to death. I didn't put that in there, but it can lead to death. And I think about the quality of life that they're going to have to deal with because of a fall. More than 95% of hip fractures are caused by falling, usually falling sideways. That's kind of an interesting statistic. So I want you to kind of let that kind of resonate, kind of let it, kind of hit home. If this was your parent, if this was your sibling, if this was your family member, you definitely don't want them to be part of these statistics, and it could be preventable. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. So what contributes to these kind of falls? This is certainly not an exhaustive list, but these are probably the most common. So lower body weakness and strength. The longer people that are in bed, that stay in bed, the more they lose their muscle mass. Every day they're losing muscle mass and muscle tone. So you wonder why they're having trouble getting out of bed or moving. Vitamin D deficiency, I thought about that. Sometimes it's just they're not getting enough sunlight. They have so much sunscreen on. Sometimes it's just a deficiency in their physiology. And diabetes, why would diabetes contribute to falls? I think primarily hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar. And low blood sugar causes confusion, dizziness, weakness, fatigue, etc. So it's probably due more to the low blood sugar than the high blood sugar, although that can certainly contribute. Difficulties with walking and balance. So just having a hard time getting around and being able to be functional. A lot of these folks have foot pain or poor footwear. They've not gone to the podiatrist. They have neuropathy. They have all kinds of other issues, and they're not wearing the right shoes, which is important. Vision problems is a big deal. They don't have the prescription glasses. Their prescription glasses haven't been updated. They haven't gone to the eye doctor in a while. So that's really important that these issues that we're talking about, they can be addressed easily. And cognitive impairments. So that can be short-term, long-term memory issues. It can be confusion. It can be because of dementia or Alzheimer's, any of those kind of issues. They're not understanding what you're doing. They're not understanding what's happening. Use of medications is a big one. So having all kinds of medicine that is really polypharmacy that's not been really reconciled. And what do I mean by reconciled? They're this pharmacy's filling that, this pharmacy's filling that. They don't know, the contraindications, and nobody's really speaking to each other. And a lot of those medicines cause low blood pressure, low blood sugar, and the orthostasis is basically when they're standing up, they get dizzy. I know I use my mother-in-law as an example. She said, every time I stand up, Lily, I get dizzy. And so I said, it sounds like a blood pressure med. It could be one of your heart meds, but it sounds like orthostatic hypertension. And so go back and get the provider to really decrease your medicines or look at that, also look at pharmacy. And we'll talk about some of the preventative issues here. Solutions, I should say, to these issues. Urinary incontinence. So I thought about this, and it's like they can't get to the bathroom fast enough. We're all busy. I know that staffing is issues in the home and in other places, but we can't get them to where they need to go in the bathroom, and so they just try to go on their own, and boom, they fall. That can be alleviated through Depends, through having briefs, also a bedside commode at the edge of the bed as well. Depression is certainly another. Mental health issues. So I only added depression, but they can have other anxiety, mental health, schizophrenia, etc. that contributes to the fall. And certainly pain and arthritis are two biggies. One and kind of the same, but they're not able to really get up and help and have difficulties with that. So those are just some of the highlighted ones that contribute. These are the conditions that contribute to the falls. So getting to the prevention part of it, and really that's what we want to do. Primary prevention, secondary prevention, some will call it even tertiary prevention on what can we do to help prevent these falls. So definitely strength and conditioning exercises to improve balance and muscle strengthening. You can request a home physical therapist to come by and just develop a home exercise program. And even if these folks are doing some TheraBand or some things in a chair, they are strengthening their legs, they're strengthening their arms, they're strengthening their bodies. As I mentioned earlier, when they're in the bed, they're losing the muscle strength, a lot of muscle strength every single day. And so get the physical therapist in, get the exercise physiologist to help. And once they get started, have them do it every single day. You can ask the physician or the pharmacist definitely to review the medications, include the OTC, over the counter, which may be causing dizziness or drowsiness. The care plans that you guys get with the nurse that comes over, she should be maybe advocating and helping you get that, because a lot of these medications can be eliminated or need to be reconciled. You can also ask the provider about vitamin D supplements. Can they check their vitamin D levels as well and see if their supplements are needed? If they haven't got their eyes checked, you definitely want to get them checked and get them their glasses. They need to have the maximized vision. The other thing is you know, in the lighting is also a problem, and I'll mention that in the next one. But sometimes the lighting in their room, they can't really see very well. There's lots of things that you can do to make the home safer. So that would be, you know, reducing tripping hazards. What do I mean by that? Mats and rugs and just clutter, things around the home that makes it difficult for them to walk around. Add grab bars, add railings to stairways, and improve the lighting in the homes, as I mentioned. You know, maybe even having some night lights, but making sure that you have your environment safe as well. A couple of other things you can do, and we're talking about prevention, is utilizing alarm devices. Lots of you have bed alarms and Life Alert that will provide help for residents. Let me tell you, my mother-in-law has a Life Alert, and she is proud. She is proud of having that Life Alert. She shows it to me. It gives them a sense of comfort and safety, knowing that they can call for help right away. Lots of you have bed alarms with some mats on the floor as well. Some need to have that, and so you need to basically screen. Maybe they haven't needed it, but now they do need it. Train staff on proper lifting and body mechanics with residents. So this is like a key piece here. We don't want the staff to get hurt. We don't want the residents to get hurt. We don't want incident reports, and we want to prevent it. So mandatory training. Have your people get trained by a physical therapist or someone that has the credentials to be able to do that. And a couple of things to just mention on that point is when they are doing it, they needing more help than one person can do. They need to ask for assistance in lifting when necessary. A two-person assist. And I know a lot of people say, well, Lily, you know, I'm busy. We don't have enough staff. There's a lot of different reasons, and some of them are valid, but you can't do it. If you can't do it by yourself, and it's a two-person assist, you're going to put the resident at jeopardy, and you're also going to put yourself in a bad position. So it's worth it to take a step back, to ask for help, to make sure that they get the proper persons and even devices that they need to do the lifting and the transferring. Eliminating, so I used to be a physical therapy tech way back when, and I just remember working up in Flagstaff Medical Center. I just remember they said, you know, Lily, the primary thing that you have to do when you go in the room is you got to assess the room and you got to set the room up. So 80% of my time, sometimes 90, would be setting up the room. Where am I going to put this? Where are we going to go? What are we doing here? And then the transfer was just like, you know, within a couple of minutes, but it took me longer to set the room up than to do the transfer. And that's because we wanted it to be safe. You don't want to be transferring somebody and try to like figure out where the chair is, or try to figure out where the bed is, or the slide board. That's a disaster waiting to happen. So you don't want to have a crisis mode. You want to just take a step back and look at the room and figure out where you're going to move the patient. And also making sure that the patient understands what you're doing. So I think it's on the next slide about communication, or on this slide. It talks about, you know, you need to let them know who you are, what you're going to be doing, get them on board, and try to slow it down and assess the room, and then get the other person to help you and do the transfer safely. Mention physical therapists to train staff twice a year or as needed. Utilize residents' durable medical equipment. So that would be like the Hoyer lift, the commode, the wheelchair, the slide board, the walker, the gate belt. So make sure that you're not like skimping on, because you're in a rush, on the equipment that you need. So that's part of the room setup, but also part of making sure you have your gate belt, making sure you have the DME equipment and proper lifts. I put down, don't risk shortcuts. It's not worth it. The CDC has a really good checklist. It's called STEADY. It's for patients. It's for staff. I thought it would be good. You can look at that. You can print it out. You can post it up on your refrigerators in the home. You could also post it in the room. The other thing I mentioned about communication is really important, because when you give that shift change, when you talk about to the staff that's coming on, what's happening with this resident, you need to let them know this is a 2-person assist. This has changed from a 1-person to 2-person. And you could also put, I remember seeing communications in the room that says 2-person assist, or needs slide board, or needs the Hoyer lift. You can put the communications in the room. I'd rather do that and have more communication than less, and have false and have something critical happen to the resident. So lots of good stuff on the CDC. A lot of this information is from there. All right, some other tips, just to kind of hammer it in. Never lift more than you can handle. I remember I was telling a story. I was transferring a lady from a bed to the wheelchair. She had bilateral knee amputations. And she was so gung-ho about helping me. She told me she can help. She told me she can do this herself. And I just kind of believed her. And we did the slide board transfer from the bed to the wheelchair. And I thought she can do more. And guess what happened? She slid on the slide board, and she fell right on the floor. And she had one of those weeble wobble kind of body types. And I was like utterly devastated. I got help. She was okay. We did an incident report, but that happened like, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe more. I'll never, ever forget that incident, to know that, people say that they can do more than what they really can't. And it's not that they're not telling you the truth. It's just that they don't realize that they've lost a lot of muscle mass. They've lost a lot of strength. So be sure that you get the help. And be sure that I'd rather have more help than less help, for sure. Ask for help always, costly mistake. Explain what you're doing first. So that's the other thing, I added this in there. Like when you go in the room, who are you? Explain your name. What are you going to be doing? If they can help you at all, give them simple commands. Don't do a whole explanation. You can just say, we're going to go from Mrs. Jones, we're going to go from the bed to the wheelchair safely, and here are some of the steps we're going to do, and I'll talk you through it, and if you can help me as much as you can, that would be great. Or let me get so-and-so to help us to make sure, because sometimes you go in the room and they're like ready to get going. You say, Mrs. Jones, can you wait a second? Let me make sure the room's set up safely. Let me make sure I get my coworker to help me, because we want to make sure that you are safely transferred and we do this right. So create a base of support with your feet. So, you guys all know this, to spread your shoulder width apart, your legs shoulder width apart. You're going to lift with your legs, not your back. And I think that's the key thing. When you're in a rush, you just you grab people and just swing them and use your legs and twist and do everything. And then you wonder why you're out with your back and having issues. So lift with your legs, not with your back. Have the person do as much as possible as they're able to. They shouldn't just rely on you, but they are relying solely on you in a sense. But you want to have them do what they can. Be in control and get close to the person. So just like if you would carry a bag of groceries, you want to carry it close to the load. You don't want the load to be way out in front of you. It makes it easier to handle. It makes it easier to stand, pivot, and transfer. Pivot, you want to pivot and don't just twist your body. We talked about that. So if my legs are here and I'm just going sideways, definitely you got to move your feet as you transfer the person. And some of this is so simple, but it's critical and we forget when we're in a rush. And use the darn DME, I've talked about it, darn DME equipment, DME and equipment. So don't forget that. All right, kind of wrapping it up here. So if a person is slipping or falling, what do? We gently lead them to the floor. I remember they asked me this when I was a tech. They said, Lily, what do you do if a person slips or falls? And I go, well, I'm gonna try to keep them from falling. I'm gonna do whatever I can. I'm gonna, you know, and they said, wrong. They said, if the person is falling and you cannot help them prevent that, gently lead them to the floor and get them the help that they need. I'll never forget that. So you want to be safe and you want to make sure they're safe. You want to utilize a gait belt or a strong belt. You want to protect your back. Costly mistake not to. We already kind of hammered that. You can also utilize a support belt for yourself. And then practice self-care. So make sure you're getting your rest. Make sure you're getting plenty of hydration. Sometimes most of us are sleep deprived. There's a whole talk on sleep hygiene. Plenty of hydration. We forget to go to the bathroom. We forget to eat. We forget to take care of ourselves. And we're trying to help all these other people. It's just going to put you at risk. You want to make sure you eat well, take your breaks, and do some kind of physical activity for yourself, because you want to stay strong as well when you're doing all this physical kind of activity with the members, with the residents, with patients. You want to practice, I don't think practice good body mechanics. And that is a key on that. So with that said, we're going to ask a couple of post-review questions. And I think, Audra, we decided that they could just type this in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we can do it together. So what are the 3 conditions that contribute to falls? I'm going to give you a few minutes. And there are more than 3 conditions.
Can you see the chat answers, Lily?
I can't, but you can tell me.
Okay, I see diabetes, foot pain, lower body weakness, medications, lighting, foot pain, medications.
Awesome. Yep. You go back to this slide, which is highlighted in yellow. So it's lower body weakness, strength, vitamin D, diabetes. People said neuropathy, vision problems.
Confusion. Yep. UTIs.
Yep. Pain, arthritis. Okay. Name 3 ways you can prevent falls. A, B, and C. 1, 2, and 3.
Review.
What is it?
Review meds, good lighting, check eyes.
Yep.
Clutter-free environment, use DME, move hazards from the floor like carpet and mats, check shoes. Gait belt.
Gait belt.
Meds, clutter.
Mm-hmm.
Check on foot wounds. Proper body mechanics, use DME.
That's bed good. Alarm. Bed alarm. All right. What's that?
Check equipment.
Check equipment. Use equipment. Check equipment. Make sure the equipment is, that's a good point.
Working right.
That's right. You don't want to have something that's kind of faulty in the middle of doing stuff. That's not fun. That's dangerous. All right. Yeah. Name 2 ways to improve your body mechanics. Or
stay strong.
Stay strong, or to use your body mechanics. What are some?
Use your legs, exercising and eating well.
Mm-hmm.
Rest, hydration, PT training, lift with your legs, exercise.
Yep. We'll go back to this. Yeah, so good body mechanics. Have the person close to you. Don't twist, right?
Yeah.
Always ask for help. Okay, what is it? And we're kind of going into some of these other ones as we answer them. What are two of the mistakes most people make when positioning, moving, and transferring someone? There's a couple of them, but you could highlight two.
Lift with back, poor mechanics, not asking for help, not using proper body mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Review meds, clutter-free, relying on residents' word about what they can do, not taking care of yourself.
Yeah, a lot of good answers, and some of them kind of overlap, which is fine. But always ask for help. Never lift more than you can. Have the person do as much as they can. If a person is falling, gently lead them to the ground. I think about also make sure you introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And also ask for help, definitely. All right, name 2 ways to implement better self-care.
Eat well, rest. Drink water, exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Exercise, stay hydrated.
Yep. Yeah, so we said it over here. Get rest and plenty of hydration. There's a lot of other practicing self-care. That's a whole nother talk. But there's a lot that they can do. But definitely making sure you get enough hydration, get your rest, eat well, do some kind of activity for yourself. Awesome. All right. You guys got 100%, I'm sure.
Better self-care.
Any questions on this? I would highly recommend going to the CDC site and getting some of those things we mentioned. Was anything you can add to it?
Let's have anything in safe fall recovery. Let's see, we have someone asking a question if you have any CEUs on doing any training on safe fall recovery.
Yeah, we could look at, they can email me and I can look at getting my physical therapist doing some recovery, also a nurse. So they can email me, I can help them out. Any other questions? You're kind of frozen. You still there? You still there? I don't know if I got frozen or you got frozen. Type in the chat if you can still hear me. All right, you're still there. Okay, good job. All right, so I just wanted to share a little bit more about stepping forward. There's our email, there's our phone number. These are all a lot of the topics that we do that we can get CEUs for. We have CEUs for. And if it's not on here, we can certainly look at maybe customizing something for you. So there's a lot of stuff on here. We work with a pharmacist, we work with a dietitian, we have a nurse, physical therapist, a social worker. So we are a multidisciplinary team as well, not just me and my husband. So a couple of things I wanted to mention coming up in June, and we do have limited space. We're going to do 2 and Audra can get it to you as well. I'll put it in the chat. 2 CEUs on Saturday, June 4th. It's going to be virtual. from 10 to noon. The cost is $40, so 20 per CEU. It's caring for the caregiver, and we're going to talk about healthy boundaries. That's really in regards to relationships and how to have healthy relationships, healthy boundaries, which I think we could probably all use. The next one that we're going to do in June, and the only other one, is grief and loss and change. And we're going to do laughter does good like medicine. That's a really fun one, and there's a lot of clinical physiology that goes with having a good merry heart. Does good like medicine. So if you're interested in those, we only have certain amount of slots, and it is coming up. So you can just email us at steppingforwardteam@gmail.com. I believe Audra will put that in there. I think I put it in there already. And we'll hopefully catch you then, and we can talk about some other things that you'd like. Wanted to entertain any questions? Anything else
We have
that
close to 40 maybe. It's freezing. We had like, I think, let me see, 39. Does everybody know Deb? Our director of nursing.
Yeah, I'm getting a list of the assisted living facilities are
What's
now
that?
required to have a fall prevention
My
and fall recovery.
internet keeps cutting out, sorry. I don't know if it's mine or yours, but mine, I'm hearing every other word.
Okay. So I was looking at
There
the
we go.
chat. I was looking at the chat, and they were saying that they require the fall prevention and fall recovery on an annual basis. So yeah, definitely maybe putting to something like this together would be helpful with examples. Yes, okay. That would be good. Copy of the slide presentations. Yep. Look at that as well.
Okay.
And you guys can send me, if you want, a list of the requirements that you're needing. I kind of looked it up, but it seemed very vague. They gave you different topics, but if someone can email me that, we could look at putting that together so we can bring the most value to you as well. All right. Any other questions?
Do you have a policy on that, Christina? I'm trying to remember. People are also asking if they can get an email of the slides from today.
Yes.
If we're okay. So I think I have it, so we can email it out to our list there.
Yeah, and I updated it so I can send you the latest.
Okay.
So this is for the this is where a lot of the information came from. And then once again, this is my info as well. You could always email's probably the best, steppingforwardteam@gmail.com. And we'll be happy to help you. Excited about doing this June 4th and June 11th. So let us know and we'll help you get registered for it. So thank
you so much, Lily, for presenting this today. We appreciate it. And I know it was very needed. We had lots of people signing up.
Awesome.
And next month, Lily's also presenting our CEU, and I believe we're doing diabetes self-management.
Yes. Yeah, and that is our signature program. We love to talk about diabetes. We love to help people with pre-diabetes, diabetes. We're going to go over the 7 self-care behaviors from what the ADA standards are, and we're going to give that to you. Excited about that. When is that again?
So the date is, let me look at it and make sure so I don't give the wrong date. And I'll be sending out the email and sign up information. I believe we are doing it June 8th, which is a Wednesday from 12 to 1.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Excited.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thanks for joining, everyone. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.